I've always been very good at self-promotion. I let people know what I'm good for, and sometimes a little bit more than I perhaps ought to. But the most important thing is to be prepared. Really be good at what you say you're good at, because people will find out if you're faking it very, very quickly. I can remember being in a finance meeting, raising money for some venture or the other, and the question came up of my background as appropriate for this particular enterprise. And I remember saying to this room full of multi-gazillionaires, I said, my background makes me able to execute this. No one is going to question that. And they agreed with me. They said, no one is going to question that your background is appropriate for this job. It wasn't a job, it was a company. And we eventually got financed. Now, that sort of going out on a limb, if you don't overdo it, if you overdo it, people are going to think you're an obnoxious asshole. But if you don't overdo it, it really helps carry across to other people how useful and valuable you are. It also works the other way around. When you're hiring someone, look for the ability to self-promote, but not to be arrogant. Bragging is easy to spot and often associated with bullshit. But presenting what you have done and bringing the receipts. I've done this, here's where. I've done this paper was published here. I've done this, I have this patent if you're a technologist. If you're in other things, I've sold this, I brought in this number of sales. I promoted this product anew at this trade show. Those sorts of things people want to hear about because they don't know about them. You put them in your resume and then you elaborate when you're talking in an interview. There's nothing wrong with that, but so many people will sit there staring at the ground, afraid to say anything about what they've actually done. And you have to pull it out of them. Well, guess what? No employer wants to be pulling information out of a prospective candidate. There's too many prospective candidates for that to make sense. And this happens even in the running of business. When I first started out, I was always felt a little shy in the presence of our boards of directors. We would almost always have outside board of directors. And they'd be people like the number 3 person in Boeing. I mean, we had a high caliber boards of directors. And at first I was a little bit timid around them. Now, knowing me, I didn't stay timid very long. And pretty soon I discovered that by acting as though I were one of them, I became one of them very quickly. And that's an important thing. I wasn't arrogant. I wasn't see how bright I am, beat my chest and say I'm great. Show that both I think that I am and demonstrate that I actually am good at what I say I'm good at. I think those are probably in this area the most important thing you can do. And people will respond to that. They won't respond to bullshit. You throw things out there claiming to have done that you didn't do, or that all you're doing is claiming it with no evidence that you've done it, people will dismiss you right away and you've wrecked your chance. But if you can show what you've done and prove that you've done it and show how it's relevant, that will make you a success.